What's going on, everyone? It's LFC Transfer Room here, and well, it's a bit of a weird stream to come into because Alisson was injured, and then he wasn't injured, and now he's injured again. And I don't know if whilst we're on stream he'll become uninjured again, but it looks like we're in a bit of a strange goalkeeper world at the moment. Another player potentially going down. But to sort of discuss this and to prep us for Brentford, double game week if you're involved in the Fantasy Premier League. If you've not done it, Matty, I know me and you are close to each other, but I'll still give you the warning. I'm joined to do this preview with Matty, Neil, and Hassan. Matty, I'll start with you. Have you prepped your team?
Yeah,
I done treble captain.
I done it on Wednesday. My team, quite prepared this year because I'm aiming. I'm top of a league for quite a bit of money, so I'm very, very eager this year. But it's ready. I haven't triple captained. I still haven't decided on that yet. But yeah, it's ready to go.
I've gone triple captain. And I'm not sure whether to put it on Nunes or Haaland. I'm between the two. I'm mixed between the two. We've just got this weird feeling Nunes is going to... Because our second game's against Luton, I have a feeling he's going to get a hatful against Luton. And I don't know why.
Because Haaland's been crap this year, but he's still top goal scorer.
Yeah. Neil, you winced when I talked about triple captain on Nunes.
Well, I'd personally like to play it on Salah, but I think there's a doubt as to whether he'll start.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. And I keep captaining Darwin, and he's getting the odd points, but you're just sort of like waiting for him to explode, I guess. But yeah, I need to. You've reminded me it's double game week for some of them, so I need to have a look.
Either your triple captain or your free hit, bring in all your City players if you've not, and have City and Liverpool are the one, and Luton, I think, are the one with double game week.
Yeah.
And Hassan, you're not in our league as of yet because you joined us midway through the season. You're like a January transfer, but are you ready for Brentford?
Yeah, I'm ready for. I was really ready for it before the news came in, but we have to move on, and maybe it's a warm up for Carabao Final for Keller.
Yeah, well, we'll start with that news. Actually, we'll start with the Alisson news and noise coming out, Matty, is it's a hamstring injury, which for a goalkeeper is not the end of the world, depending on how severe it is. But it could put him out for about a month potentially if it is a proper if it's a hamstring pull or something like that. And if you think we've got Brentford, Luton, and then probably Chelsea are the games that he'd miss. If it's 2-3 weeks, and he probably wouldn't play against Chelsea anyway. But it's just another one of our big players who has big moments coming out of the team. If you think Trent's out the team, Salah's been out the team, it's Van Dijk's been the constant in this.
Yeah. To be fair, I'm not shocked as well. Because Alisson, he does tend to pick up an injury a season and miss quite a few games. So I was thinking the other week, I wonder when he finally gets that injury. It could have come at a worse time, really. I mean, I haven't got much faith in Keller this season. I don't think he's been great when he's been called upon. But giving him a run of games prior to the cup final, it's going to help get him up to match speed, really. So no matter how much training he does and how many few cup games he plays, he's not up to match speed. Where if he's playing, say the next two, he's playing tomorrow, playing Wednesday, and then the cup final, he's in that rhythm then. So I think it helps us looking ahead to the cup final. And I think missing Luton and Brentford, you could say you'd be right over without Alisson. The games you'd be like, yeah, not bothered about losing them there, because then you are coming up against your cities and stuff. So it's devastating, really. I'm a bit worried tomorrow with Tony. I think he'll bag a few against Kelleher, to be honest. But I still think we'd win the game, and I think it's a good few fixtures for Alisson to have his yearly injury that he seems to have had us, to be fair.
Yeah, Neil, I think there's something about Brentford for me. They seem to always be able to beat our high line, seem to get in one-on-one with the keeper quite a lot, and Alisson's always played quite a big role against Brentford. And being at Brentford, there's just something that feels a little bit uncomfortable with it. But the way Van Dijk's been and the way Konate's been, obviously there's a level of confidence with that as well. So, but it's just bad timing for me.
It is. It's out of the run of games that we've had. This was probably the one I looked at and I thought it's potentially quite awkward. They're a bit hit and miss at the moment. I think they've improved a bit over the last couple of weeks, but physically they give you a difficult game, and there'll be more aerial bombardment now than I think if Alisson was playing. So it is, yeah. I think uncomfortable is the word. Kelleher's been a bit hit and miss himself this season. I think before Christmas he had a couple of really, really poor games by his standard, and not what we've been used to when he played before. What I will say, against Burnley, he pulled off probably 2 Alisson-esque saves, particularly in the first half. There was the 1v1 he made the big save from. So I think he's probably one, like all players, that benefit from the run of games that Matty was talking about. So hopefully, the fact that he's played last week, he'll be up to speed for tomorrow. But yeah, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I mean, Hassan, we're expecting a player who's on 10 grand a week, which is what Kelleher's on, to perform just slightly below a player on 160 grand a week in Alisson. I mean, we have to anticipate that there will be some drop off when Kelleher plays. There's a reason he's probably, he's argued as one of the best number 2s in the Premier League, but he's still the best number 2. So you do expect a drop off, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. But if you look back at our history with number 2s, I think he's the one who is been better, and he has done in the Carabao Cup before, and he has been a constant in that cup. And as Matty said and Neil said, that he benefits with the game time. So I think he will improve, and it is his chance to shine. And I think, as you all said, that this was the run of games. We might, and Alisson always picks up these kind of injuries some point in the season, so it was expected. Let's see. We hope that he brings out the cup.
Now, Hassan, I'll stick with you for this because Paul asked you a question, which is, will you give up smoking if it guarantees we win the quadruple?
Okay, done.
No, you've all mentioned it. Obviously, there's a period of time every season where Alisson seems to pull something, tweak something, injure something. There's something that's potentially, that puts him off for a few games. And there's two views to this, Matty, which is, one, there's a really good run of games for Kelleher to get his confidence up and get ready. But there's the second view of this, which is, if he has a shit couple of games, this could really put us in a pickle. Now, I was one of the, I'm not going to lie, I was one of the ones that was like, don't play Kelleher in the final, play Alisson. You play your best players for the best opportunity to win something. And this is one of the reasons Klopp's probably not won as much as he could have, because he always goes for the person as opposed to the problem. Where are you with this?
I think it could go 2 ways now. Alisson's injured. He could maybe be back next week, and Klopp says, I've got to play him for him to get his own match fitness going into games like City and stuff. But I've always wanted Kelleher to play that final. I think for any kid coming through, if they were to see someone like Kelleher, who has came through the ranks really, play every single cup game, but then when it gets to the final, he gets dropped. Imagine the impression that gives to the kids. And we've got a plethora of talent coming out that academy. So if they're looking at this first team, so if they see, and now I know Klopp's going at the end of the year, so it's not exactly a different manager, might have a different philosophy, but right now, if they've seen him playing and getting us to the final, then he should be able to play in the final, really, because he's got us there. And I think when we played 2 years ago and won it, there was a lot of uproar when Kelleher started, and we
Well,
won.
has he got us there?
I know,
I
but
mean, he had bagged a winner in the 91st minute, has he?
no, I know, but like he was sound, and we won a penalty shootout with him. And to be fair, if the Carabao Cup Final was going to pens, or the FA Cup Final, or any final for that matter, I think I'd probably prefer Kelleher in goal to Alisson for penalties. 100%. Like Alisson, to be fair to him, that's his one flaw. He's not great at penalty saves. Kelleher is. So I knew he'd start the final no matter what, and to the fact he's got to run a games going into the final won't do him the world a harm. To be fair, I mean it's crap to lose Alisson, but there is positives in every situation. But in terms of the final, yeah, Kelleher should have played. Like if we got to the final, he is really, really good at penalties. To be fair to him.
I don't want another 0-0, so I don't want penalties.
I don't think it will be. I think they're crap.
Deal with the boredom. But there's a lot of people saying something's got to be wrong. There's a lot of injuries. There's a lot of people. We think at the moment, Neil, we've got Trent out, we've got Szoboszlai out, we've got now Alisson out. Salah, obviously Salah got injured at AFCON, but it's just another injury. When we're going for so much to have pretty much every single key player, apart from probably Virgil, get injured for a period of time, it adds an element of risk to this running that we really don't need when we've got to be practically perfect to get to the final.
Yeah, agreed. But I think we've been in a difficult situation with injuries probably for 2 to 3 months now. I remember every week rolling off between 8 and 10 players that were unavailable, and that's included all of those players. Alisson even missed because he picked up a little niggle, didn't he, against Manchester City, and was out. We lost Salah to AFCON, and we coped really well. So, yeah, you just have to hope that you can carry on. But how long it can carry on for with the same level of injuries and the players that are impacted, as you say, they are big players. So it is a concern, but I don't think it's anything that new that we haven't really been dealing with for 2 to 3 months. The bigger worry for me with the goalkeeper is how long he'll be out. It depends on the severity of the tear, I guess.
Now, Hassan, and we're going to move on to the next couple of stories, but we're going to start to talk about a couple of players who, arguably, some of you won't even have in your starting lineup for the next game, or the final, because Diogo Jota got Player of the Month in the Premier League, and in a lot of people's starting 11, if Salah's back, he doesn't start. Bradley got Standard Chartered Player of the Month. And now Robbo's coming back to form. A lot of people are moving Gomez to right back, especially seeing as there's no one to play that inverted role. So potentially Gomez has to go to right back because there's no fullback to invert because Robbo can't do it. To start with, before we start to talk about problems and dropping players, how good have both of those players been in a period where we've needed them, both Jota and Bradley?
Yeah, it was a huge surprise and a good one. Because Bradley, for his loan, he showed he was their player of the year, and there was expectations out of him. And because Ramsey went away, he had injury problems. It was his time, and he came and showed us really good. And like Gomez was written off by many in the last year. He also came this year, has a good run of games without injury, and he's looking really good. So now the most interesting will be who will be dropped in the front line. Will it be because Jota is in fine form? Will it be Diaz who makes way for Salah? For me, for our goalkeeping issues, I think the matter I want to look most is who will play with Virgil. Will it be Konsa or Konate? Because Brentford are really good at set pieces, so it will be really interesting. If Konate starts, I'll be more confident because he is really good in aerial battles. Konsa is really good at ground, but I think he's susceptible in the air a bit.
Yeah, no, and we'll build a starting 11. I think as we go on, but it's a problem. Like it's a problem I don't think any other team could deal with. You start to think about, if for example you took out 5 of the top 6 players of either of the top 6 clubs, 10 clubs, whatever you take out the top 5 players. How many of them are going to still have only lost 1 game? Klopp got manager of the month. It shows something's going on with that academy. You think Kelleher, you think Bradley, you think Jones, you think Trent, you think
Harvey.
McConnell, Clark. You can list Doak. You can list off the players that have sort of been coming through, and I'm not going to include players like Elliott and Gomez, who came to us for a small transfer fee, and we still kind of brought through. There's something special going on there, isn't there?
Yeah, our academy is very, very good. The only academy really, I'd say under 23 level that's better than it's probably City's, because they're bringing in the best of the best from all around the country. It is us and City really competing for it, which is nice to see because it was usually Everton. But the academy's got a whole load of talent, 201 senior in the first team. Like it's quite exciting, really. You think like Trent Doherty, he's unreal. Jaden Dans, he's fantastic as well. Neil Dan's son. So there's more coming up through the academy. But the ones who've made the jump, they have surprised me, to be fair, because Kwanzaa in the academy always had that mistake in him every game where he's jumped up and excelled. Conor Bradley was fantastic in the academy, and any fullback we have in the academy is like trained to play the Liverpool way from such a young age. So you're half knew he'd have an impact, but I always thought Chambers would have had a bigger impact than Bradley, and he's just come in and like ran the show. And to be fair, I would have been starting Bradley against Arsenal, even when Trent was back, if he didn't have what happened to him happen. I think Bradley's you pick your best 11 players, and right now Conor Bradley is the best option at right back for Liverpool Football Club. And I'm not just saying that because Trent's injured, because if Trent was fit, the argument's there to play Trent in midfield because Bradley's been that good at right back. So I don't think Gomez instantly gets the right back position, but I don't think Andy Robertson's an instant starter either, because Joe Gomez has made the left back position his own, and Robbo's got to take that back off him, to be fair to the lad. And it's the same with Bradley. I think he's been fantastic whenever he's been called upon, so I think he's a must start as well at the back, because you can't fault the lad. He's got everything about him, and if you imagine if you stopped playing him now, like for his confidence and stuff, like Trent was given that chance and took it. So Bradley's been given that chance now with Trent out, and he'll take it. I don't think Joe Gomez will just go into right back, because I'd argue Bradley can play that reverse role fantastically as well. Joe Gomez is our left back option for me. I don't think Andy Robbo's is an instant starter, as much as I love him.
It's difficult though, isn't it, Neil? Because we're thinking, like, we know how tricky Brentford are going to be. They're going to put the ball on top of Kelleher. They're going to crowd the box. They're going to attack it at pace. So, of all the 3 defenders we're talking about, Gomez, Bradley, and Robbo, probably the one you want most is Gomez, because at least he's over 6 foot and can challenge in the air and can sort of fight with Tony if he pulls off to the post, which probably means you're having a discussion about Bradley or Robbo, which feels mental when you think about it at the start of the season and how strong Robbo started the season.
Yeah, I think about it slightly differently. So I look at what the 3 of them will give us going forward, and I think we will get more going forward from Conor Bradley and Andy Robertson. And that's no slight on Joe Gomez at all, because we'd have been nowhere without him this season, and he's been outstanding. So my thoughts are to go on the front foot. So City dominated at Brentford, and we're capable of doing the same thing. So rather than have that thought about what damage they could do to us, I'd rather think, let's see what damage we can do to them. And I think I'd go with Bradley and Robertson, which is very harsh on Gomez, because I think he's been outstanding. But that's my.
Well, I'll stick with you, Neil. I'll ask you this question because neither Robertson nor Bradley have inverted.
Yeah.
Gomez has been the one to invert. So even when Robbo's played, Gomez has inverted.
Yeah.
When Bradley's played, Gomez has inverted from the left. And when Trent's played, Trent's inverted. So which of those two fullbacks has inverted, or do you talk about Liverpool changing the system and having no inversion?
Well, I think pre-season Bradley had because he got injured, didn't he? I think he was the one. I can't remember whether it was him or Costa Simicas that were coming on second half in pre-season.
Simicas.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I suspect it would be Bradley that would be asked to do it, but for me, his strengths are getting down the wing and getting crosses into the box. So
I'd agree with that. I don't think Robbo's got inversion in his thing. I think he's just set me off, I'll run.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be a slight tweak.
But we may play a double pivot, and McAllister might take that step back with Endo and allow sort of Jones to go further forward and sort of run it. Or they might start Harvey Elliott and let Elliott play that sort of 10 role that we know that he's capable of.
That's definitely something that can be looked at as well, as you say. If we do want to create that, have that man sitting alongside Endo in midfield, there's no reason to say why it shouldn't be a McAllister. McAllister was most suited to it, with Jones probably in the more advanced role, or Elliott, as you say. Jones got to start, so it'd be McAllister for me alongside Endo. But yeah, I mean it's positive really. We've got all these problems, but we've also got
problems and opportunities, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got a decent amount of options as well. So, but let's get on the front foot and let's have a go at them and try and win the game early.
Now, Paul Lindo says Gomez has not been effective when he inverts, and I disagree with that. I think he's actually been very good. I think the first 4 games when he inverted, he was terrible. I think he's actually learned to do it really well. But I prefer to have Bradley and Robbo playing, providing the width, and not worry about there's no inversion without Trent, so just ignore it. What do you think on this? Do you think let's play it a little bit more simple? I could see someone like Harvey Elliott playing because Harvey can go on the outs. If Salah plays, I can see a Bradley Robbo. I think if Salah doesn't play, I don't see a Salah. I don't see a Bradley Robbo. That's my view on it, because I think Salah comes in and creates space for Bradley to overlap a lot more.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we'll go back to our options which we used to play and be a bit safer, I think, and Endo and McAllister to do the dirty work at the midfield, and it's up to Harvey or Jones to link up the attack. So that's what I think. I agree with Neil that we'll play Robbo and Bradley.
Okay, Matty, we're gonna have a quick comment on Player of the Month, Diogo Jota, before we start to build our starting 11 for Brentford, because I think there's going to be some discussions in this. I already feel like I'm disagreeing with both you and Neil. I can see it coming. But tell me a better finisher in the Liverpool squad than Diogo Jota. Or even, tell me a better finisher in the Premier League. Give me a list.
There's only Haaland, really. To be fair to Jota. I always say he should come off the bench, and that's purely to win games because he is a goal scorer. He's nicknamed the Ghost in the Liverpool team because he does not and then just crops up with a goal, and that is Diogo Jota to a T, and he's so good at it. There's nobody better in that box in the whole Liverpool side than Jota, to be fair. If he's in that box, you're probably better a lot of money that he'll score. But yeah, there's only Haaland, I'd say, in the league better than him. I know you're going to hit me with some stats because that's why you're asking.
No, I'm not going to hit you with the stats because I don't believe in the Chris Wood stat, because Chris Wood is we were chatting about it in our WhatsApp group. Chris Wood has the best shot to conversion in the Premier League, believe it or not. And I think this is the first time in his entire career he's got over 10 goals in the season. So I'm not going to hit you with the Chris Wood stat. I think it's really difficult to say. Obviously, I think Jota's around about 10th or something like that in that. But in the Liverpool squad, if there was an opportunity to win a game 1-0 in the 92nd minute in open play, I can't think of anyone else I'd rather it fall to. But where's his best position, Neil? Is he a central striker? Is he a left winger? Is he a right winger? Is he just someone that appears wherever he so wishes?
He's been a bit all over the place, hasn't he? He has started from the right recently. I think he's best down the middle, if I'm honest. But I also think he's very, very good on the left. So I don't have any worries about whether he would play centrally, which is more difficult when Darwin's playing well. But yeah, I don't think there's much in it between his two best positions, but I'd probably say he's slightly stronger down the middle. I think he's been outstanding the last few weeks. I think he has been just brilliant. He is so clever in what he does. If Darwin Núñez had Diogo Jota's game intelligence, he would be the best player in the world because he is a clever player. He wins fouls. He causes problems for defenses. I think he's horrible to play against because I think he's got a bit of. He's not the cleanest of players to play against. So I think he's been outstanding. I think he's banging form at the moment as well. So you have to embrace that.
Yeah, I think Matt is right. Like when Jota comes on, you know he's going to score a goal. Hassan, pretty much every time he comes off the bench, Jota's going to score a goal. I made the comment that he always gets a 6 out of 10, and Drew hates it because Drew's like he's way better than a 6 out of 10. But he does nothing in the game apart from a few fouls and a few tackles, and then he just bangs in a goal when you need it the absolute most. He's just got that innate ability to be able to ghost into the penalty area and score with whatever he needs to ensure that we get the win. And it's just I think every club in the top 6 doesn't have a player like that. Like a ghost that just appears and scores when needed. And the reason we're probably in this position is because when we've needed it most, he's just appeared and he's done what's needed to be done.
Yeah, he's like, if we go back, he reminds me of Nistelrooy. He used to do nothing in the game and he was a really good finisher. So if we are back in the 90s and we are playing 4-4-2, Darwin is doing the dirty work and he finishes off. So I agree with all of you. He's the best finisher in our team because whenever ball falls to him, it almost looks like he will score. And if it's one-on-one, it's almost 90% he'll score a goal. So I think we have to start him.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what we're gonna do now is before we give score predictions, we're gonna start to build our starting 11 against Brentford. We're gonna go from the back to the front, and we're gonna argue the positions where we feel we need to argue, and then we're gonna do score predictions at the end. Paul Lindell's saying, "How does Jota win so many headers?" And I think it's just intelligence, as Matty and Thingy said. I think he knows where the ball's going to go. He knows what his other players are going to do. It's just, it reminds me of those sort of players, like Hassan said, like Nistelrooy, who just appear at the right point and seem to bang it in. Robbie Fowler had a great habit of just knowing where to kick the ball into the side netting, but it was the side netting that went into the goal it always used to hit. Now, let's start with goalie, and I'll go around each of you. You can give me your goalie. Are we going Adrian, 60 grand a week? Kelleher, 10 grand a week? Alisson with one leg? In the chat, if you're new here, please like and subscribe to the channel. We go live every day at 7:30, but this is match preview for Brentford. We're going to start with the goalkeeper. Matty, your goalkeeper for Brentford is?
Kelleher.
Thought you were going Adrian. Neil? I'm assuming it's clean.
We shouldn't forget that during our title-winning season, Adrian played quite a long run of games during that season. Alisson did his calf, I think, against Norwich in the first game. So, but I also remember the the Atletico game as well with Adrian in goal. So it's Kelleher for me.
Hassan, I'm assuming we're rounding it out with Kelleher again.
Yeah, Keller.
Okay, so we are 4-0 Kelleher in goal. No one's got any other arguments in the chat from the seams of things. A quid on Kelleher. And then let's do a back four, Matty. Who's your back four? What do you think starting against Brentford?
I think it'll be Conor Bradley. Has to start. He is back at the team, so you'd assume he's fit and available. Has to start for me. And then Canate and Van Dijk, just purely for the aerial presence. And then I will put Joe Gomez left back, just because him and Bradley had a good understanding on who should do what when Gomez goes forward. And I think he also adds that element of the aerial threat, which is what we need when they're attacking us. They're a very big and physical team, Brentford, and we aren't that. Unless we're going to have Darwin in the box for the majority of the game when they're just lumping balls forward, we do need a big back four. So you can sacrifice Conor Bradley not being the tallest because Andy, Robbo and Trent aren't the tallest in fairness, but I think adding that extra layer of Gomez into the side will help contain like Tony and stuff if he does drop onto the back post.
Neil, are you giving us a different back four?
Well, I'm kind of talking myself out of what I was thinking. So I would 100% play Conor Bradley right back. I would. This Canate and Virgil, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think Gomez should start one of the two games. So we've got Brentford and Luton. So if he's going to start one of the games, I would probably say he should start against Brentford. So I'm going to change my mind, and I would recall Robbo against Brentford and start Gomez tomorrow.
And Hassan, your back four, are you sticking with these two?
Yes, and Gomez will start at the Carabao final and he'll score the winner.
I don't think they'll start Conor Bradley. I think they're going to play a Gomez, Canate, Van Dijk, and Robertson. And the reason for it,
James, because that's my master stroke in FPL this week. I put Bradley in because I thought this last time and didn't put him in, and then he went and got a bloody goal and 2 assists. So
let me tell you why I don't think we'll play him. I don't think we'll start him because I think we need Kelleher's confidence to be up, and I think this is the risky fixture. I think Bradley's guaranteed for Luton. I think he's probably guaranteed for the final, and we need to get Robbo's game time and thingy time up. And I think Robbo is such a annoying little insert whatever insult you want. I think he can really get in Tony's head. And I think that's probably one of the benefits of having a player like Robbo in an away game. So I think you want the aerial presence of Gomez. I think it'll be a Gomez, Canate, Van Dijk, and Robbo back four. But I am in the minority, and by minority I mean nobody in chat has said it.
No.
I'm the only one that said it. I just think that's probably going to be our back four.
I think you're right. I think he'll probably pick that. It's just not what I would do. I think he'll go for the senior players tomorrow.
Yeah, and it makes sense if it's away against Brentford. There's an element where that makes sense when you've got a junior goalkeeper and you want to keep their confidence up.
Yeah,
and you probably integrate more youth in other positions. Central midfield 3. Now, I think, is there any objection to Paul Lindo's, which is Jones, McAllister, and Endo?
No. Jones is the first name on the team sheet.
The only objection I have is I'd rather he put Endo as the first name, as he's the more defensive player.
The order.
So it should be Endo, Maka, and Jones. I don't think there's any doubt from me about the 3, but Paul, if you could just put the more defensive players first, please.
Yeah, but I'll start Elliott instead of Jones. I think he gives a
the
better.
Elliott McAllister, wouldn't it? Because McAllister doesn't play left centre mid.
We can.
He can, but he hasn't. He played right centre mid and defensive mid.
And plus, Jones has been 10 times the player Elliott this year.
I think the case for Elliott is an obvious one, isn't it? Because he come off the bench last week and did really well, got 2 assists. Yeah. So I can see why Hassan would think it. He is one.
For that game, Harvey Elliott's so small, lightweight, and nimble, and Elliott is fantastic off the bench. That's no qualm on Harvey Elliott. I think he comes on and changes games. You need them players. But Curtis Jones is the first name on the team. She's in the middle of the park at the minute for me, and that's not even being the Jones bias of being behind for like 3 years. He genuinely has been that important to us.
We are a better team when he plays. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
I think the defence has a lot to say whether Harvey Elliott's going to play. I think if Gomez plays, there's a higher chance Elliott gets the game to start, because Elliott has, in the nicest way that I can say it, he has earned the right to start a game. Yeah. Because he's come on and made an impact. And if you're going to start a game, I'd probably pick Luton over Brentford, but he has earned the right to start a game. So if you are going to start him, I think you'd probably see Gomez at right back over Bradley, because you wouldn't want to, as good as and dynamic as those two youngsters are, you wouldn't want to give that opportunity for Brentford to take advantage of.
I just think he'll definitely start McAllister, because he can then drop them two into a double pivot, and Jones can play the 10 because that's the position he played in the academy and stuff. So there's more. I think there's just that bit more flexibility there, where Elliott is more. I don't know. I think Elliott's done better without Salah in front of him.
Mm-hmm. So he takes the same positions as Salah.
Yeah. So I feel like with Salah in the side, Elliott's not as effective. It's just sort of a thought while he's been away and been injured and that. I think Elliott's been fantastic. And he does deserve that start. He's been brilliant off the bench. But then when he is there and there's no Salah, I just feel like he's that player who's drifting into them positions and stuff. And then the clash. And then it's like Szoboszlai. I think Szoboszlai played better when Trent went behind him, because when Trent's going forward, the half has to help cover. So I think Szoboszlai plays better when he's got that little bit more freedom. So I don't know. I think Salah, if he's back, is going to start in here. It's probably a clause in his contract or something. Although there's no one in the front three. You drop either. But I just know for Elliott, I think he's a good player to bring off the bench when there's tired legs. He comes on. He's like a Joyce Bunny, and he's creative. You can bring him on in that 10. You can bring him on the right wing of Salah, because Salah's not going to play a full 90 tomorrow if he does start. I don't think. And then, or you can come off for McAllister, then you save McAllister to get a few more minutes of that Luton, and then go in for the final. So it's good options to have, considering last year we were sat here saying whether 37-year-old James Milner was going to make his 20th start of the year or something.
I think this would be a game for Milner.
I love Milner. I'm gutted he went, to be fair. I think he's a fantastic player.
Okay, so I think collectively we're going to say the midfield's going to be probably Jones, McAllister and Endo. I think there's an argument where if Harvey Elliott starts, you can say, well, he's earned the right, but we prefer him coming off.
If he starts Elliott, though, don't you think he'll play McAllister? Then it'll be McAllister, Jones and Elliott. And I don't know, I like Endo at the minute.
I do think there's a chance. It depends on Endo's fitness from coming back, doesn't it, and stuff like that, and how much he's got into the groove. I think, there's an argument that it's a McAllister as a DM. But I think against Brentford, I'm trying to think who their midfield is.
They have like every part of it, don't they? But he plays a bit more advanced than that. So
yeah,
I just think
play Endo against. Again, you want that. If Tony goes onto the DM, you want someone that can challenge in the air, don't you?
He's a horrible player as well, that Endo. I was watching him the other day. He is horrible. I'd hate to play against him.
I just don't get the gum shield thing.
Oh, it does me. Does me Sweden. Like that's one thing that puts me off him. But other than that, he's a mate. I rarely rate him, to be fair. And yet again, Klopp was right, and the whole fan base was wrong.
Big shock.
I'd be amazed if he doesn't start. I think he's so combative that against the likes of Janelt and Norgard, you need someone like him. And Endo is a completely underrated player on the ball. He's actually a very, very good ball player.
He started really putting some zing into his passes now, because he realises that all the players around him can control it. I think that was his biggest learning curve. I don't think his passes had enough zip in them. Whereas I think he's learned now, oh, these players can control whatever I just hammer at them. So I'll just whip it to them. And I think it changed his game. I think that was a big turning point for me with Endo. I think a lot of his passes slowed the game down because players he's played with couldn't control it the same.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Hassan, we'll start with you. Who's your front three against Brentford? Does Salah come back? Do you start Jota, Diaz, Nunes? Where do you put Nunes? Do you put him on the left? Gakpo? If you're going to play with a double pivot, do you play Gakpo as a false nine? Who's your front three?
Front three is the same. Nunes, Jota, and Diaz, because they are now having a good understanding and they are playing well. So I don't think we should change that before the cup final.
20 minutes for Mo.
Yeah, he can come on substitute.
Super sub Mo Salah. Nearly, are you buying that? If Mo's fit, does Mo? I mean, you're talking about top 5 players in the world consistently for 5 seasons. If Mo's fit, Mo's fit.
Yes, but with the issues we've had with reoccurring injuries, and the fact that we've got 3 big games in the space of 8 or 9 days, I think we have to be cautious. And I don't think we've suffered as much as we maybe thought that we would do while he was away, and then during his injury. And to a certain extent, we've spoken about Jota's stepped up. Nunes is playing well. Diaz has also stepped up. I don't think he's playing anywhere near the level that he can do, and he frustrates the life out of me. But he's been scoring goals as well. So I don't see the necessity to rush Salah back in to start a match when those guys have been doing just fine in his absence, and we've got a cup final next weekend.
Yeah.
I think, Marty, there's something that's become apparent, which is either Mo or Nunes have to start. Because anytime either of those haven't started, there's no focus for the defence, and players like Jota and Gakpo and Diaz who benefit from ghosting into positions because they're focusing on this, machine of a striker in Mo Salah, or this absolute beast of chaos in Nunes. They start to focus on these players and they're not as effective. I think Jota really thrives, doesn't he, when everyone's focused on Mo and Nunes, because no one's looking at Jota and he just ghosts in and scores.
Yeah, I don't start Mo myself tomorrow. I just checked then. I thought it was hamstring, and I just double checked then that he's been out with a hamstring. And I feel like we've had a few of them this year, and we've been rushing people back. We rushed Szoboszlai back. We rushed Trent back.
Look what happened to Elite as well at Palace. He got rushed back.
Yeah, I just don't think it's worth it. We are in a title race, so this is Brentford is a game what we should be winning even without Mo Salah. We're more than strong enough with Nunes, Jota, and Diaz for me. Potentially even Gakpo. I'd like to see him get a run. I think again he adds that little bit more physicality than Luis Diaz does against Brentford. But Diaz has been in fine form, so I'd start them 3. I don't want to rush Salah back. Got a cup final. We've got Man City to play. There's a few big games coming up in the next few weeks where I'd rather Salah come on and get 20, 30 minutes and then be fit for the final, or 20, 30 minutes and be fit to play against City in a few weeks. We should be beating Brentford. No matter whether Salah starts or doesn't, I think we should be beating Brentford. We've got a lot more quality, and if we're serious about winning the Premier League, then we should be beating Brentford anyway, to be honest. And it's just that risk. Like, yeah, we could start Salah. Yeah, he could be back. He's going to say he's fit and ready. That's just a professional that he is. He's going to say it. But every footballer says that. So obviously I said that and he wasn't. And we need to stop listening to players and just ease them back in. Because if we were to ease Szoboszlai and Trent and stuff like that back into the side, we'd have all them fit and available for the final, and we don't. So what's the point in rushing Mo back? He's pivotal for us to win the Premier League. And if we just play him for half an hour, this game, play him half an hour against Luton, maybe bring him, let him start the cup final, or even that, you bring him on after half time. So we battered Chelsea without him. As long as he's fit and ready for Manchester City at home, I couldn't care less when Mo Salah comes back, because we've been that good going forward. I think the three of them have been fantastic. With Jota coming off the bench, he does seem like, Gakpo coming off the bench, he does seem like he's a bit out of favour at the minute. But Diaz, Jota, and Núñez have been phenomenal for us. To be fair, while Salah's been out, we can't sit here and say that they haven't. We're still challenging for the Premier League, and we've had arguably one of the best players in world football. In my opinion, second best player in world football, with only Haaland ahead of him in terms of output, missing, and we haven't missed them. And that's credit to the lads who've been playing, and I think they all deserve to start, because why rush Salah back? It'd be stupid too.
And Hassan, I think the thing that I've been enjoying about this front three is it's a flashback for me. Like, we're seeing Firmino, Mane, Salah, where they just used to switch positions. They'd appear everywhere. Núñez is on the right wing, the left wing, centre forward. When we see Núñez playing with Salah, they're great together, but Núñez is always trying to pass the ball to Salah. I've noticed that so many occasions he plays a stupid pass when he should just smash it at goal. Would you start? I assume you're well, you said you're this front three, but end of the day, it's real positive signs, isn't it, that you've got this front three that seem to be interconnecting together and seem to be almost becoming another telepathic front three.
Yeah, it's a really positive sign that look, as Matty said, that we don't have to rush now, as we did with Soboslai and Trent. We should learn from our mistakes, and there's no need to rush him back. There are more important games coming up, and the run-in will be the most important. So we are blessed. Gapco has done really well in this Carabao Cup, and whenever he came in. So it's for selection, it's a really good headache for us. I think we should stick with them, and they are playing well. As you said, they switch positions. Sometimes Nunes is on the right or is on the left. Jota can go there. It's in the game we manage. Where we play, where there's a weakness, we switch players, and it's a really positive sign.
Completely agree. And I tell you what, let's round this off. We need to round it off with the usual, which is score predictions. So in the chat, one, if you're new here, please like and subscribe to the channel. We go live every day at 7:30. But give me your score predictions and your first goal scorer. So I need score predictions. Liverpool versus Brentford. I'm going to blame Stephen for this. We are away, despite the fact that he's put in the title. It's Liverpool versus Brentford, like we're the home team. We're not with the away team. Score predictions, first goal scorer. Let us know what you think it's going to be in the chat. I'm going to start with Neil. Score prediction, first goal scorer.
I think it's going to be a tough game, but I think we're going to win 3-1. I think it might be quite tight until late on, and we'll get a late third goal. I am going to go with Diogo Jota to score the first goal.
Hassan, for you?
I think 2-1. Brentford to score the first one, Ivan Tony. Then we equalize with Jota and Nunes to get the winner.
I don't think I could take that type of game, but I'm with you. I mean, it's very Liverpool at the moment. We go down and then come back. Matty?
I'm going to go 4-1. I think that they will start strong like they did against City.
I just love how positive you are constantly. I mean, you're giving them a goal.
No, I think they will start strong, to be fair. They did against City, and I think there'll be tweaks at half time, but I think we can score more than what City scored there. I think we've got more firepower, and I'm going on the philosophy of Salah's going to come on off about 60 minutes off the bench, and he'll probably bag because it'll be like, see, you should have started me. That's what he's like when he comes off the bench. But I'll be happy with 4-1. I'm going to go Van Dijk to score an header as our first goal, but I do think Brentford will get the first, and that's purely because he's in my fantasy footy, and Conor Bradley's going to get 4 assists.
Wow.
Do you not want him to hit it against the bar to himself? You know, like an alley-oop to yourself where you off the backboard and slam it in.
As long as me putting him in is a masterstroke from me, and it helps me. I've gained some ground in the FPL league towards Stephen, which I never thought I would. So as long as Bradley's a little bit of a masterstroke, then... Because imagine that, if Bradley's a bit of a masterstroke for me, and it's an Irish fella who puts me closer to Stephen, that'll piss him off even more. So it's brilliant. It's a win-win.
That's true. I should have thought of that. I'm going to go with the 3-2. I think there's an element where I expect us to concede because I expect Gallagher to not perform as well as Alisson, and I think he knows they're going to target him. They know he's going to target him. I think the pressure's going to get him. I think we'll go 3-1 up. I think we'll get one towards like the last few minutes of the game or something like that. Something sloppy. But I think my first goal scorer will be Darwin. I think it's, I think Darwin's going to get the first. I think he's going to get it on the counter because I think they're going to counter us and we'll counter back because I think that's what we're best at. And I think that's when the chaos happens with Brentford. I think that's where they've really been unstuck. And the way that we counter back against other people's counters means that they're not going to be in position. And to finish off, I mean, Paul, if you don't know this, I mean, he's obviously from Manchester, isn't he?
The best part is I haven't even got Irish in my family. I've got Scottish. That's where like, the family comes from, Scotland. So, born and bred Liverpool, me, Paul.
And there we have it. Matty's admitted that he's Scottish. Everyone's gone for Liverpool to win. We think that the guys think Conor Bradley's going to start. Apart from me, but the guys think Conor Bradley's going to start, and most of the chat you think Conor Bradley's going to start, and we're confident that Liverpool win. Bring Salah off the bench, bring Elliott off the bench, and just sort of take the game away from Brentford. Another 12:30. It's almost becoming like the Liverpool time, isn't it? Thank you very much to Matty, Hassan, and Neil for joining us as we've done the match preview to Brentford. This is LST Transfer Room, and we will catch you on the next one. Take care.